This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online platform that helps you find a therapist that will match your needs. BetterHelp offers live video chats, open discussion, conversations with real therapists in real time if that's what you need. I personally love it and have used it now for almost 2 years. I would really recommend, if you need someone to talk to that is not in your family or your friend circle, that you reach out to betterhelp.com and you will receive 10% off if you use my code BGP. So again, that's betterhelp.com/BGP to find the right online counselor for you. Hi, welcome to Big Girl Pants Podcast, where we talk about health, wellness, careers, parenting, relationships, and everything in between. I am your host, April Melton. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Big Girl Pants Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. I know I say that every single time. It doesn't matter, whatever. Hannah. And Hannah, I want you to, first of all, tell people your name, right? First name, last name. And then also why we're here and what we're going to talk about.
Totally.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh my gosh, so welcome.
Oh my gosh. My name is Hannah Curtis, and I am the founder of Adolescent life coaching company called LifeTalk. And so I actually met April through a mutual friend, Angelica.
Amanda, Rachel, whatever, it doesn't matter.
We just so many
names. It's irrelevant.
But we met through a mutual friend, and she kindly offered to have me on her podcast. But now we've become friends, and I've coached her daughter, and it's just been a fabulous experience. So we're really excited to be here today.
Yeah. Super excited. Okay, so I want to know a little bit, obviously, more about you. Yes, I've met you before. Sure. We've talked. You've helped with Chloe, but I want to know like your background, what you've done professionally, and what kind of inspired you to want to do something like adolescent life coaching.
Yes.
Because I'll be honest, the older my kids get, the longer I'm a parent, the more I think about how parenting is like mostly just telling your kids what to do all the time, which sucks. Like, that's not fun for anyone. It's not fun for them.
No.
It's not fun for me.
No.
You know? And also, like, you want to make sure that you're, like, checking your tone and you're not being, like, condescending or bossy or whatever.
Yes.
You know? Like, and when you said, like, I do adolescent life coaching, and, like, I was like, wow, what a freaking idea. Mm-hmm. You know? Like, oh, you talk to kids about what the kid wants to do? Weird.
Yeah, and just talking to them about their life, which, as we all know, is a helpful tool for anybody, kind of having a third party there that maybe doesn't know all the niches and all the things that you can be open and honest with.
Yeah.
But so this all started, actually, we'll just track it back. I remember when I was growing up, I always loved kids, I was a baby trying to hold babies myself, crazy.
For sure.
And my mom and I were on a walk. And I remember we were having a conversation about life and things to do, and like, I don't know, boring stuff like taxes or insurance came up. And I just remember being like, oh, well, fun. When do I learn that in school? And she was like, ooh, you kind of don't. And I was like,
wait, you asked your mom when you stop?
Because I was like, this is required.
So you were type A from the age of
10?
Oh,
it's hard to watch. I know, crazy.
It was hard to watch. It was cringe.
It was cringe. I was the child organizing all the things in the house. Like, I got in trouble because I was putting things in places that my mom couldn't find them. Like, that's just my default brain. I don't know why I'm that way. Okay. We don't know. DNA is crazy. But I just remember, because the way, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but she was like, you know, this is obviously required of you living in this world. And I remember being very overwhelmed by all the things she was saying. And so I was like, well, we'll have a class on it, so it'll be fine. And I was like,
in your head, you literally thought,
yes,
I will learn this in school, and I will be okay.
I was a decent student. Like, that was my way of being like, I don't need to worry about it. It's gonna be fine. And she was like, oh, unfortunately.
I love this.
Unfortunately, you don't really have a class. And I was like, come
unfortunately,
again.
they never teach you this shit.
Come again.
Welcome to life.
Yeah. So that was just the genesis of me being like, what else do we not learn that I am upheld to know and navigate well in this world that's extremely difficult, chaotic, and judgmental? Yeah. It was crazy. Well, it was what sparked like that kind of through my whole life. So fast forward, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, but I went to college in Los Angeles, back to my roots. I was born there, lived there for a year. And I remember we took a class. It was a leadership course. And one of the questions was, what keeps you up at night? And my answer was...
You were like, taxes.
Yeah, taxes. I love, no.
Lifing.
This is why I need to learn. It's like, you can try it yourself, and if you don't, hire someone. That's a good tip just for taxes. Don't want to do that ever. But I think I wrote about the education system, and I was like, and I love teachers. I love anyone involved with kids. I mean, anything like that is should be the highest regarded position. I mean, we should regard teachers like we do doctors and lawyers. And I think that unfortunately,
they're responsible for teaching our youth to become functioning humans in society.
Truly.
They make $0.
Truly.
Why?
Hard to watch.
Make it make sense.
Have to buy their own tissues.
Make it make sense. Have to buy their own expo markers. Make it make sense.
Please. And we are functioning from like a very antiquated system, 200 years old, like Maria Montessori and all of their, their kind of methods were so advanced for the time, but we haven't changed our education system. If you fell asleep 200 years ago, woke up today, the one consistency would be
school,
somewhat the way that we educate. And you judge a country based on the way that they educate their youth, and we are not doing it that well.
No, we suck.
We suck. There are things that are done well, and people care. Teachers and educators are the best out there. They care more than anyone.
They don't go into it to become rich.
Right. But they all of my very close friends that are educators have left the field, which to me is heartbreaking. And I just think that that's where there's so many things that we need and that are not, they're nuanced and they're kind of fluid, but they're not hard to teach. It's not, it maybe won't be as black and white as like algebra, but it's stuff that's really important. And I think for the human experience, just a few tools in those areas are very helpful. And I'll go into some of this later, but I think that's really where I wrote about what would be more important than say
algebra, geometry,
like getting the high advanced levels of math. I was like, I was pretty good at
calculus.
Math. I don't want to do trig and calc when I don't know anything about like the basics of, I don't know, just navigating relationships or
hard boiling an egg.
Truly. What's the best way to like clean my house?
Patch a hole in my jeans.
Literally, we don't know sewing at clothes, but we all wear clothes. Help. It's so hard. And then just the emotional skills, self-awareness, how to be independent and feel okay with yourself, not always relying on a partner.
Confidently introducing yourself to someone.
Eye contact.
We
can get as broad or as niche as you want. I have literally, truly so many. It's all over.
Bring it on. We got time. For real.
Beautiful.
For real.
Beautiful. And so that's really where this kind of just began spiraling in my mind of like, well, what are all the topics and how do we organize it and and it's a really broad, I remember just having calls with like my dad being like, I care so deeply about this subject matter, but I don't know where that fits like in the world and how to navigate it.
How do I channel all of these thoughts that I have into a business plan?
Yes. And this was like before, like in end of college was before podcasting existed really, I think. So that wasn't really an option.
Yeah, because when did you graduate?
2015, but I look so much younger, right?
So totally. I was thinking like 2020. What are you talking about?
Like,
exactly.
Like, what?
Well, yeah. Joe Rogan, I think I started listening to him in 2014.
Yeah.
But he started in like 2008 when it was like legit underground, nothing.
Yeah, because even if I'm sure it was a thing, I just had no clue what it was.
Same.
Yes. And you were, like, to me, you were very early.
Thank you. I'm a pioneer. Not really.
Yeah, I'm a veteran. Thank you. But so that's kind of where I just remember being like, I care a lot. I want to do something. And for me, I never wanted to teach. I just saw what it looked like and I cared about it. I literally shifted my major for 1 day, not a year. And then was like, this isn't it. Like, I love it and I want to be in education, but I didn't want to teach. So again, navigating that was kind of a funky path.
Yeah, because you're like, how do I make college? How do I use college to help me make money, et cetera.
Yes. And I think studying the psych stuff, I would have probably prioritized that more in college had I known what I know now. But I did business, which was helpful. I mean, I never think that's...
No, business is universal.
So useful. Yes.
For sure.
Yes. And like, I always loved management. I liked being in control. So
Weird. I didn't get that from you at all.
Crazy. Reorganizing my entire childhood home. Yikes. My poor brother. Anyway, so he'd be like,
it.
Don't come in my room. And I'm like, what? Your lacrosse stuff
but
is
your socks
in
are not in the right
now.
drawer. And he's like, they're my socks.
Everything has a home.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is my ex-husband, 100%.
Yes.
The one you met?
Yes. Really?
Yes. Oh my God.
Okay.
And things are consistently moving. See, you thought I was joking when I was like, I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to introduce you.
No.
Yes, we are. Literally, everything is moving all the time.
Yep.
Because there's a more optimal space for it. And everything has a home.
Yes, everything does have a home.
has to go back to where it was.
It does.
Right.
That is a requirement. Number one, yes. But it does help if it's an easy system. We can go into that later.
Totally.
They do have a home edit
also,
book
his
for
name
teens.
is Matt. His phone number is...
Unfortunately, I never date Matts. Never.
Matts are off the table.
Could never be a Matt.
We can't do
Actually,
that.
any M names, I'm going to go with no.
All right. Some girls it's J names. This girl it's M names. Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Okay, where was I? College.
Everywhere.
Thank you. So anyway, fast forward, I ended up deciding I didn't want to stay in LA and I wanted to move, and I have a lot of family in Texas. So I was like, well, we'll give that a shot. So I did
so at this point you've been Oregon, California, Texas.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I was born in LA, but like, I feel like that's why I was drawn to going there for college. But we lived in Rhode Island for like 3 years. But it was interesting because like I have these
Dude, you guys moved everywhere.
Random connections. Yes.
I love it.
I know.
Yes.
And I love Rhode Island because Taylor Swift. So.
Because
yep.
T-Swizzle.
Shout out. And so then, yes, Oregon's where I grew up. And I mean, Oregon is beautiful and I love it, but it is so rainy so much of the time.
All the time.
And I just like truly a day that I wake up and it's sunny, I'm like, well, great. I'm so excited for this day. And
yes.
I'm not. It's just, it is very impactful,
yes.
you know, in your mood and
yes.
just life. And it's like, ugh. So I was ready to get out of that.
It's so bad.
Yes.
Yeah. That's how Pittsburgh was too. We lived there for like a year and it just rained all the time. I was just like, this is depressing.
Yes.
I can't stay here.
Yes.
No.
And some people, it doesn't really affect them.
Right.
But for me, I was like,
I'm the one that's affected.
I'm very affected by just my environment all the time. So hence the organization. So, yep. Don't come to my room.
Hence the everything has a home. Oh,
Yep.
okay, great.
Don't open my drawers. There's, yes, Marie Kondo. So
it does not bring me joy. It's not in my home. Thank you very much.
No. But we did paint. So you did paint.
Oh, okay.
You painted.
Oh,
Remember?
I painted. Yes.
So you did
I
do
painted.
that. We love that.
That's true.
Hope it turned out well. So anyway, I moved to Texas and I did informational interviews and I ended up working for 3 years at an academic tutoring college counseling center, which was great. And I mean, so helpful. I learned so much. The owner was amazing, like really kind of took me under her wing. And I feel like that was where I really grew in how to like deal with clients and how does this interaction work? I'm working with the kid, but I'm dealing with the parents, you know? And so that was a fabulous, I mean, I couldn't have had a better experience there.
Literally.
I kind of grew out of it. And I felt like what I wanted was the roles I was looking at that were just hire something in education that was maybe, you know, either counseling or like something in that regard. I didn't fully know required a master's. So that led me to go back and get my master's in ed at SMU. Amazing, great experience. And that's where a lot of this really came into like, I would say more of a concrete kind of plan or idea or thought. And I wrote my capstone on like these gaps in education. It's literally called Gap School.
Dude, they're huge.
Yeah. And it's
huge.
And you can go, and so I was skimming through it this morning just to like remind myself all the things. Holy moly, don't want to go back to doing that, but it was COVID, so it worked out. And
we had time.
And I sat in that chair
a lot
at that desk all the time. But I will say like that was something I'm so proud of because it allowed me to like sift through all the stuff that I was thinking and all the stuff we needed and like what was the priority and like how do we kind of make this accessible for kids and parents. And so I start with like I remember my mentor because I was having this existential crisis of like how do I organize all of this? I'm an organized person. It's so much.
What do I do with all of this stuff?
Where do we put it? Yes. And what was really, she was so great and really helped me just kind of organize my thoughts. And she was like, well, it seems to me that everything you talk about comes back to the self and self-awareness. And like, that is really the thread through everything. Like, how do we deal with
the central theme?
Yes. Our reaction to things, our relationships, how we take feedback, how we give feedback, our moods, our emotions, all of the things is all rooted in self-awareness. And so that was what I wrote on first. And then I moved into autonomy, being able to, you know, be self-sufficient, not to say we don't love and adore the people in our lives, but like at the end of the day, all we can control is ourselves. So knowing that and being secure in that and
being able to make decisions.
Yes. Yeah. And not being so like rooted in what other people's wants or needs are, you know, like it matters.
Right.
It just isn't all that matters.
Right.
And then mindset is the third one I wrote with. And I was going to do another, but I honestly had written so much, I was like, I'm done. So I just put it all in an appendix. Can send it. And you know, just like, growth versus fixed. Are we open to seeing ourselves navigate things and maybe not doing perfect or failing at certain things, but figuring out that that's okay and learning and moving forward.
Yeah.
Like I wrote down this quote this morning. You're going to be so like, what? Okay. But I love it.
For sure.
But I loved it because I was like, this is actually very relevant. In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step back into safety. And there's times where stepping back into safety is helpful. So I just feel like that is something that is such an important thing to just even think about. You know, and
like which moments in life you need to do one or the other.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just even the consideration, you know, we might not always make the right choice. That's literally the human experience. But just figuring it out and doing even a minute of reflection and asking ourselves like, well, why was I triggered by that? Why did I feel like that was scary to me? Why did that make me anxious?
Yes.
you know, like just thinking about it, because we may not always know. I mean, half the time some things are just our subconscious triggers because of childhood. And like, that's a whole other thing.
Right.
You know,
whole other can of worms.
Whole other can of worms.
I know.
And I will say, too, the first thing I always bring up with clients is the difference between therapy and coaching, because it is.
What would you say, in your opinion, the difference is?
And I think it's pretty distinct in terms of like, you can base it in just past and present. Past and present.
But not everybody.
No, totally.
Right.
But I think the way to simplify it, and what I try to do, especially if I'm working with kids, just to make it like digestible, is past versus present, future, I guess. So, you know, trauma or therapy is so based in like past trauma and things that we're working through. And it doesn't have to be, but that's what they're used for and what they're trained in. And
that's what the model is.
Yes, that's the model. And that's what they're great at. And so if I notice that there's stuff that I'm not, you know, trained to navigate, I will refer them. But I think that in terms of coaching, it's really like, well, what are we dealing with in a day-to-day life? What's our present world? And then like, what things do we like care about? What do we like? That's my biggest thing with the kids I work with, is like finding their kind of passion point, their talents. And then where can we find a place for that in the world? Yeah. Like, where do we see ourselves going? What do we love? What do we hate? Because truly, and this is where the adolescent kind of, you know, niche is so important, is it's so foundational and formative in the way that we like, you want to fit in, and your culture and your people and your peers are everything, but like you're so influenced by anything and everything around you.
Everything.
They have Uggs, I want Uggs. They have, you know, I mean, for us.
Chloe sent me her Christmas list this morning. She was like, I want Sol de Janeiro body spray.
Oh, no. She told me that, yeah, she doesn't want the perfume that
I'm like,
we all have.
Why?
Ma'am.
Why?
Ma'am.
You don't need bum cream. Get out of here.
Okay, on brand though for her. So on brand. She literally stole my perfume and took my scrunchie, and I said, "Girl, if you need it more than me, take it."
No, absolutely not. We're not taking things from our adolescent life coach. Okay, thank you.
But stealing my perfume was hilarious. She's like, "I want to smell like this." I was like, "Okay,
all right,
I love it. Love that for you." So, okay, but basically that's like the big gist, I guess, of kind of what I came away with from my time at SMU, which I felt like was truly like just so
worth it.
Yes, and like I just felt like I left and was like, man, what was I doing before that? I feel like I gained so much just knowledge, and like my perspective on a lot of stuff changed. And
plus, you have the background from the business,
yes,
and then now you have the master's in education, like perfectly combine them.
Yes, and that's kind of what I felt, that it really worked well. So I ended up working for a family in Highland Park for a bit, and then moved to part-time with those kiddos. And so then I started this company, and it's been kind of my baby for, you know, the last few months, and I finally launched it. So I'm really excited, and that's what I'm, you know, sharing here.
As you should be.
Yes. And I think like what I always tell April too is that life coaching in terms of, you know, we understand it, and maybe everyone has seen or heard of a career coach, a relationship coach, but the niche of adolescents and like even, you know, young, like older kids, I would say like 7, 8, 9, you know, can benefit. There's things to talk to. I mean,
I would say I started seeing like a significant change in Chloe at like 8 to 9 maybe, and now she's 10. So yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Like I feel like she's your target audience.
Yes. No, she's like exactly it, because older, there's more going on.
Yes.
And there's more, I mean, whether like truly, I mean, we think back on adolescence like, could never bring me back.
A shit show.
It
was a shit show.
Exhausting.
Yes.
Stressful.
Yes.
Chaotic. And like hard. There's so many hard things. And like your body is changing, and no one knows what's happening or when, but it's all happening, and it's all crazy.
Oh yeah.
And your like world is just so, you know, your peers and who has like the standing, who's popular, who's not, and none of it matters, but it does matter.
The status, the
like
shoes,
your world is
the
so
jeans,
small.
the clothes, the hair, the boyfriends, the girlfriends, like everything.
The juicy tracksuits.
Everything.
Did you have those?
Of course.
Okay,
of course. Everything that's not associated with school and education.
Right.
Like culture.
Yes.
Society.
And that's when I would probably say it's the most heightened, but it's where we can like decide.
To a 10.
Yes.
It's a level 10.
Yes.
All the time.
Totally. We can decide, do we let that like be our world and cripple us if it's not the way that we expect or the way we want? Or do we kind of see like, okay.
And it's like, how do you even set expectations when you're just kind of hurled into it? I mean,
totally. And that's where I think like I would love to be a part of, you know, because every child benefits from like an extra pillar of support or an extra listening ear.
Yes.
And
especially now societally where we don't necessarily have like our tribe anymore.
Yes.
Like it's especially for families who have moved or relocated, or maybe they're not near their family. And, you know, the tribe is the people that you kind of make, but like they're still not, you know, essentially what like your family, what you would think your family would be like, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. Like, or what if you don't live near them? So that's not the people that they're going to school with or whatever. Right.
Yes. And people move and take new jobs. I mean, so much more than I think used to be the norm.
Yes.
So that really does.
Long gone are the days where you would like buy a house in the same neighborhood as your family member and grow, raise your children together.
Yes, like a little village in Italy. What a dream!
I know.
And they are very healthy. I mean, the blue zones.
A dream.
Yeah, but I think that having those, and especially in education, like if you aren't, teachers are burnt out and they aren't getting paid well, and so it's like that's not always. It should be.
They're beyond burnt out, man. They have these ratchet kids in their class, and then they have to deal with all this stuff.
They should get paid triple what they are. More.
If not
millions.
They're raising the future.
They are.
For 8 to 9 hours a day, and then we expect them to live on pennies.
Pennies.
And then we're like, well, why aren't you doing more?
Totally.
Why can't you achieve more?
And make my kids do all these things.
Right. Why can't you handle my kid? Yeah. And it's funny because we just had a 504 meeting with Chloe's school. Mm-hmm. So the principal was there, her teacher was there, and like her dad and I. And we're sitting in this class, and I was like, okay, my daughter's 10 years old. She absolutely needs to be in this meeting.
Yeah.
This is her education we're talking about. Yes. This isn't mine. Yeah. This isn't Dad's.
Yeah.
So this has nothing. Yes, we are her parents. We are her support system. But this is her responsibility. She needs to be a part of these conversations so that she can be held accountable to her own stuff.
Yes.
Like, what is the question here?
I'm not the one showing up at school every day.
Also, why are we talking over her head? You know what I mean? Like, why is this not on her level?
Yes.
So the whole time I was like, okay, Chloe, how does that sound to you? How does that sound to you? How do you feel about that, Chloe? Because
that's a great thing to do.
At no point in my education was it ever about holding me accountable. Mm-hmm. It was always like, oh, well, what is your mom doing? Or what are your parents doing?
Yes.
Or whatever. And I'm like, not coming to school every day.
Yes. And kids are so much more resilient and capable than we really give them credit.
They're way more capable.
Yes. It kind of stems from also because, and I think like you were saying with the lack of a tribe, like social media and our phones, like it's part of the world now, but it does hinder a lot of those relationships. And so I think it's just, you really have to be able to like be present with them and focus on them and like give them some accountability. And I was just listening to an education YouTube video about how, really allowing them to make decisions. And the younger they are, the more limited those options are.
Of course.
But the more they age, they want to make decisions. They want to be a part of their growth and future and all the things.
Help.
They won't always make the right one, but that's learning. So good.
What? No. What? Weird.
And I think, unfortunately, at least like from what the research suggests, like there's definitely a lot of families that like they think they're doing the right thing, whether it be like the helicopter parenting phase or, you just are in fear of your kid messing up or doing something wrong or you don't think they're capable.
Yeah.
So you handle a lot for them until they kind of go off to college and then they're just SOL because they don't know how to do anything themselves. They don't know how to do laundry. They don't know how to navigate things. They don't know how to make a phone call themselves. And it's crippling.
Will say, the culture that we have now or the lives that we live now, it's like, mom and dad both work. So it's like at the end of the day, when you're trying to manage, children, schedules, activities, sports, school, homework, jobs, careers, babies, whatever your life looks like. It's like, it's a hell of a lot easier to do all of those chores yourself at the end of the day, as opposed to teaching your children how to do it.
Yes.
And that's something that I've had to like really take a step back, reflect, understand, and like have patience and hold space for her to learn how to do things.
Yes.
It's so hard. So I get it.
Yeah.
Like I understand how challenging it is. I would love to just check out, do all the chores myself.
Yes.
Tell them to go watch TV and be like, see you around.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
For like an hour.
Well, and I think too, like what you do such a good job we don't get education in parenting. We should. Not to say that everyone
This is the hardest unpaid internship I've ever had in my life. Okay?
Yes, great.
Continually unpaid.
We love that line. Truly, what is happening? And it never ends.
I don't know.
What is going on?
I still suck at it.
Who are these kids? But like,
whose kids are these?
Yeah, where did you come from?
These ratchet kids.
But truly, it is something that like, when we think about the majority, like most people have children. Not all. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying most
of people
have kids. So the fact that there is no class on like how to navigate that.
Bro, I feel like I should have had like a test or a certification or something.
Or like some barrier to entry. We're just allowed to like.
I need a license to drive a car, but I can fuck up a human easy.
Truly, we're all allowed to have children. That's crazy. There's
no qualifications.
No barriers to entry. I don't have to like have a 401k or something. Like it's
nothing.
Insane. I mean, I have many, many notes, but like I do think that that's where and I think you naturally by default do a lot of things right. Like bringing her in, asking her those things. Like there's a lot of parents that probably wouldn't even think about that. And it's not their fault. Like it really is that we just don't get taught a lot of this. I think some people, just like any sphere of life, any skill set, like some people are more capable and just naturally have that talent. Like I've just always loved and been good with kids. That's just my thing.
Yeah.
But that does not say I'm that way with other stuff.
You're so good at it. I mean, as soon as Chloe met you, she immediately gravitated towards you. And it was like in those moments, during those times when that happens with someone, I know, okay, like there's zero apprehension on my end. Like as soon as you were like, hey, like let's go for a walk, whatever, it was just like organic.
Yes.
And she was like, yeah, let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, you're my person now. You're here for me. Thank you very much. Don't talk to my mom anymore. It's just for me.
Yeah. Don't tell her anything. No, but I do think it's just kind of always, I noticed when I was younger, like that kids kind of gravitated towards me, but I do think it's because I'm at heart just like a child in an adult
Aren't we
body.
all, dude?
Yes. It's like my soul is 22.
Because we have like bills and responsibilities.
It's weird. So much going on.
And a job.
It's really rude.
Yeah.
The admin.
Lame.
The admin in today's world is crazy. We talk about. But I think that that's just where, like that's a talent I noticed I have and everyone has. I'm truly of the belief that like we all have skills and talents, whether we know it or not.
Yes.
I love helping kids figure that out because if you don't get exposure or a way to maybe trial that or see that talent, you just could never know that you're a great ping pong player if you never have a.
I mean, dude, Chloe, it was so funny because Chloe, I mean, of course, she's my first child. My grandmother used to make a joke. She used to say that your first child should be a paper child.
Oh, yes.
So that you can make a mistake and then throw it away and then be done with it and not, like, have to deal with the repercussions or, your decisions. But, like, she tried everything. We put her in soccer and she was, like, so distracting to everyone. All the parents were like, don't talk to Chloe. She's a distraction. Like, from the sidelines. Like, that's my kid.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm just here to hang out and play. You guys want to talk to me?
Yeah, that's me. I was like, I'm just the fun coach.
Literally.
I'm the fun
that is my
person
kid.
on the sidelines.
1,000%.
I don't actually do the thing.
We try soccer and it's like a joke. And then we try basketball. She was a natural at basketball.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less.
Yep.
Never wanted to play another season. She was completely over it. She was like, nah, man. And she's like,
I'm out.
Shooting threes, like just killing it. Her tiny little self on a co-ed team, crushing it. The coach was like, you're absolutely amazing. Come back. No, Chloe, crushing the basketball.
Yeah, she's like, see you never.
Never wanted to play again. But like, that's how I feel about, that's honestly, genuinely how I feel about parenting. And I think it's because when I was younger, I would think about what would I want in this moment? And of course, yes, not a lot of people think about that.
Right.
Or they're not like, well, why is that okay? Or why do my kids deserve that? Or whatever, right? So like I was thinking to myself, like, what would I have wanted in this moment? What would I have wanted from my parents? Or what did I need in this moment that I really didn't have?
What would have really helped? That's a really reflective thing to do.
And like same with like, religion or experiences or activities, hobbies, etc. Like,
yes.
And I told you about, with jujitsu with Chloe, like she doesn't have a choice to go to jujitsu anymore because as her parent, I have to make sure that she's equipped with certain skills to live her life.
Yes.
And like that is a skill that should she ever have to use it, it's not for competing. Chloe has zero interest in competitions. Yeah. It's not that she wants a medal. Yeah. It has nothing to do about standing on a podium. It's about literally basic life skills and self-defense. If she's in a position where
I think we should all take a self-defense class.
I mean, I hope that she never stops. I hope she becomes a black belt.
That's actually another great part that like that should be included in school. Like not just a one-time little thing, but
Dude,
like
yes, forever.
Yes.
Every kid.
Like that is more important than just playing a dumb game in PE one day.
Literally. Like
learning to defend your body.
Why is PE like, and not saying that games are bad.
Right.
But why
There's
is
a benefit.
Most of the things that we learned in PE is like games.
Do you remember that rainbow parachute?
Yes.
What was the point?
I will never forget it.
I loved it.
The scooters.
Love the colors.
When did we stop doing the scooters?
Oh yeah, the scooters were so fun. I feel like people got hurt.
So hurt.
The boys are just like,
fingers are rolled over.
I'm over there just like going in circles, having a grand old time.
It's, dangerous, chaotic.
My friends and I were chatting about the rainbow parachute because we were like, again, fun, joy, but
What was the life lesson in that?
We learning?
What were we doing?
If I need to build a tent, this could be a useful.
And I mean, like everything you can. I feel it's funny because, again, we have plenty of time, so don't worry about like the tangents because this is a podcast and that's what we do.
Yes, love it.
But like, with the education system, it's like you could start filtering children based on their strengths and weaknesses from a very young age. Like you can see the difference between like, you know, a kid that's probably going to be an athlete, a kid that's going to be a mathlete, a kid that's going to be a scientist. You know, like you can start to see those their strengths like
very
come
young,
through so young.
Yes.
I mean, you said you were 10 when you started realizing that like you wanted things to have a
like
place
things
and
I want to make
structure
sense
and order. Like, oh, okay, cool. So what industry or what career would be best for you? And again, our school system, our education system does not teach anyone how to become an entrepreneur.
No.
Why would they?
Right. Because how does that serve the system?
It doesn't.
Well, and I think that's true. And that's why, like, what they say in the countries that have amazing education systems, which I did, in fact, like, write so much about in my era of writing and sitting at my desk in COVID. And, like, Finland, for example, they always say, too, like, the beginning part, if you were to, like, if we just could do anything and rewrite this education system, starts with paying the teachers more. Because if you do that, it provides them with just like the motivation and like the, you know, to wake up and do this thing that's hard.
Yes.
And be there and show up with like really intention
and like have the emotional space.
Emotional regulation and intelligence.
Malcolm Gladwell talked about this on a podcast where like when you don't make like, I think it was $75,000 a year. It may probably be $100 now. Once you make past a certain threshold in money, you no longer are stressed about basic life things.
Yes.
And you no longer, your ability to think and process and make decisions, your critical thinking skills are improved once you reach a certain tax bracket because you are then able to assess your current situation and make appropriate decisions based on that. Now, our teachers don't even make close to those numbers.
Rare.
And then we're expecting them to be calm, rational, patient, give our kids grace, like everything, and they're making no money
for all the children in their classroom every day, starting at 6 a.m.
stressed
or whatever time.
So because you're not just getting the great kids, you're getting the great kids, the middle of the road kids, and the bad kids, and you have to put them all in one class, and you have to deal with them every single day.
Yes,
and then also be poor. Right.
So it's like
make it make sense.
Like of course they're gonna leave.
Hello trauma.
Like I don't know why
PTSD.
we're still dealing with this.
Right.
Yes.
Why is this even a conversation?
And that's where I think too, like, yes, there's so many ways that if we started doing that, we could then provide with, you know, some more flexibility in the system.
No,
it's
Hannah,
so rigid.
The military industrial complex, we have to go to war.
We can't, I know.
Okay?
We do. We have to pay for it. Put all of our money there all the time.
We have to pay for it. It's very expensive.
Yes.
Halliburton is poor. It's very expensive.
Help. I'm just like, pay the teachers.
Help me,
damn
I'm
it.
poor.
The amount of times I use that GIF a week is crazy. But I think too that's where, like, for example, I just think about it if you had a kid that was like really creative and loved like art stuff. Because one of my favorite things is even little kids. Like, I can't tell you, oh, she's going to be great at like X, but I can tell you some things that she's naturally more drawn to or not.
Yes.
Is interested in or not. Is, you know, like whatever. Like, and for me, obviously, like even looking at myself, I was super psycho organized, but I don't want to like do that for other people for my life. Like, I
you
knew
don't
that
want to like,
wasn't
go into other people's houses and organize for them.
No, ew. It's no.
Ew.
And I will
Unsubscribe.
help. But like honestly, I'm also way too controlling. I help my friend.
You'd be like, that's wrong, and that's why your house looks like this.
Yeah, like I'm so sorry, I have to go. Like I can't do it. And
I'm overwhelmed.
I helped my best friend organize her room when we were in middle school one day, and high school, and we got in like the biggest fight. I was like, I can't do this way. Like it was so ridiculous.
Too much for me.
It was ridiculous, and like, you know, so I think that's where I realized, okay, I have a skill in this, and it will serve me, you know, like, but I don't want to do that as a career. But I think all kids throughout their life, and that's what's fun. It's kind of like, you know, seeing how this person develops.
Oh my God, it's the funnest thing.
Yes. Like what do we love? What are we good at? And then what do we think that could mean in the world today? And like, how do we make money doing something that aligns in that space?
Yes.
And like, I think about too, like my dad, he is like one of the greatest artist. Like he was always drawing, loved it, and would draw all the time. So he got super good at it. But kind of just like his dad was in, you know, accounting. And I think he just always knew like maybe that wasn't a job, that wasn't a career. He couldn't move forward in art in a way that made sense. You know, and also this wasn't like today's day and age. So I think but that's kind of where like a child like that, like if you just watched him, he spent hours every day drawing. So like clearly he's not probably going to go into accounting and stuff like that. But but that's what he
Spreadsheets?
thought. Right. Like, sir?
Okay.
He did 50% one time. So crazy. Math. Hard for him. But it's fine. Mom handles it. All is well in the household.
We're okay.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine. But I think I love that story because I just feel like, you know, he went to college and started with accounting, changed that major, thank goodness, did marketing, and then ended up working in advertising and succeeded great in that sphere because he was able. That's a perfect
space.
Perfect.
Right.
To use the art, the skills, and like for him, he's really good at painting. Like I did make him paint one of the ones in my apartment that I love, but he doesn't like it. It doesn't really bring him joy. So it's like a skill. Okay, we could do it, but like we don't want to.
Interesting.
I just think that that's in that space of like looking at how a child spends their time and what they love.
Right.
Ideally not like video games all the time, but something that's more just creative and interesting.
I feel like video games are
I know.
a hot topic.
They are a hot topic. We don't have to cover the topic.
I don't love them.
There's a space for all of it. It's all just balance. I just think if you love them, great, but just not all day every day.
It's funny to me though, the boys and men who are drawn to video games and the correlation to like expressing your feelings.
Totally.
So it's
There's a lot of research on it too now. And my boss and I used to talk about this a lot, just like if it's a more violent game,
yes,
that just makes violence in your day, your vision, the way your senses are interpreting it, like normalized more than it would be. And so there's going to be a consequence of that. And it's like, you can dissect that all day and night. I just think if you love the video games and the thrill it gives you, like, again, okay, but a balance, and if you want to be a computer programmer, playing those is going to be a critical part of how you get there. But like, again, just staring at a screen all day is
not for 12 hours a day.
Not the best.
Or a night, whatever.
Yes, exactly. Yes. No, please don't. Oh gosh. But I think, and that's why, so my format is, it's called LifeTalk, but we do talks where we would just sit somewhere, I go to the person's home or wherever. And then there's Life Walk, which I love because I think that that's where, if you're not getting outside as much as you should, kids should have 2 hours a day outside minimum. I say this all the time.
Minimum.
They're not getting that.
I know.
They're not getting that.
I know.
Hard to watch. And so that's where Life Walk is what I love the most. That's what Chloe and I did, and it was so fun. And you just can walk around and you can, whatever comes up and random things pop up and thoughts and here and there and it's chaotic.
Dude,
but
walking and talking is like one of the oldest and best ways to like communicate, have a conversation. I mean, how many times have you caught yourself like walking and being on the phone?
Yes.
All the time.
And then you feel better.
Right. It's amazing.
Riddle me that.
It's so weird.
I know. And as Dr. Sanjay Gupta does say, our 3 best things for like longevity and health for our brain is walking. Mm-hmm. Berries. Berries are very helpful for our brain.
Okay.
So crazy.
Right.
But he's like, get a berry smoothie, go on a walk, movement for your body, and have a friend with you.
Yeah.
Or, or a phone call. He's like,
talk.
Yes.
Yes.
Those are the 3 things. Do them daily.
Berries, walking.
Berries.
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 Right. Berries.
Berries are great for your brain.
That's cool. Lovey loves berries.
Mm-hmm,
that makes me happy. Okay, good.
So but I just think it's so, and that's why therapists do it too, that you can just take someone on a walk, and I think it provides what I love too for adolescents, kids, anyone, but is that psychological safety of like, you can just feel like it's not a judging zone. I'm not staring right at you.
Right. You're
just
talking, you're walking next to me.
Yes.
So like the conversation is sort of like parallel versus like, intersecting.
Yes.
Like you're not just staring at me. There's no pressure.
Yes.
Like, because a lot of people can't handle that.
No.
Now me, I thrive in those environments. Talk to me all day and stare.
We can
wherever
sit here all day.
Stare right into my soul. And if you feel like I'm lying, call me out on it. Okay, that'd be great. But yeah, I mean, it was almost uncanny. You as soon as I like spoke with you on the phone, I knew immediately. Oh, okay,
same.
cool. We're gonna be great. This podcast is gonna be great. Like the conversation's gonna be great. It's gonna flow. Whatever. But like, on top of that, you then come to my house and you talk to Chloe, and she's the same. Obviously, she's very similar to me, but very different in other ways, too. My kid wants to be an actor, singer, performer, dancer.
Was dancing for me literally half the time I was there.
D, all of the above, all of the previous answers, previous job descriptions. But I'm really struggling with, again, like I said, like in the beginning, is just like making sure that I'm having real, tangible conversations with her. Like not just, this is what you need to do, barking orders at her.
Right.
But honestly, again, and I sympathize with moms and parents because I understand how stressful it is. And when you're talking with them, when you're communicating with them, and granted, I'll probably send one of the videos to Keith and he can like clip it in here or something. But one of her outlets is like making fun of me.
Yeah.
Like, and she is flawless.
Yes.
I mean, she's on the money.
I'm sorry, the one AirPod?
Dude, the one AirPod. While I'm working.
Oh, that's so great. Ha ha ha. The laugh.
Hey, can you pause the TV really quick? Thank you. Hi. Hello, how are you? Oh, yes, I'm good. Okay. Yeah, so Joey did not, I don't think they're very a good match, but I think we can match Joey up with Hayden. And then, yeah, I think that would be, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm just taking like notes while you're talking. Okay, yeah. What? Okay. Yes. Wait. Sorry. Say that again. Thank you. Oh, you're so funny. Oh no. Sorry, yeah, I was laughing. Yeah, no, wait. Oh. Shh. Sorry, yeah, that was my kid. Shut up. Sorry, yeah, Yeah, I got all years.
Money.
They're so funny.
I mean, she's
Clip it in.
on it.
Yeah.
Every time she goes to, she's in theater and she's in jujitsu. And every time she goes to theater, the school that she goes to, he's like, you need to get an agent. You need to get an agent. You need to get an agent. And I'm like, oh my God, calm down. Okay. I get it. Also, who's going to take her to all these auditions in New York and LA? I don't know. But yeah, like those are definitely skills that are innate.
Yes.
And obviously some of them come from me. I'm not
But she's still that way.
oblivious.
Yeah.
But she's so good.
And that's just like her natural, she loves it, she's good
And
at
she
it.
couldn't give two shits about school.
Well, yes, it was interesting actually because she was telling me like at first it was, and I'm not gonna go into too much of what we discussed, but she was like that school was there were things that were difficult, the grades with math, like she wants to do well, but she was also saying that like she feels like because I was kind of trying to gauge like, is it just something that doesn't really compute in our mind, or do we just not care? And she was like, no, she's like, it makes sense to me. Like, I do get it. It's just that, like, it just is not really the priority for her brain right now. And that's where, like, what I see and what I am concerned with, I think, sometimes with kids, not like Chloe per se, but just, like, the kids that have such a love and a talent in some space, like whether it's soccer, and that's what they want to do, and they would be amazing, they're already so talented, that it can be sometimes very either crippling or just like really hard to continuously get negative feedback in a space of like getting a bad test grade over and over and over, but you're trying and you care. It's like, of course you're going to stop putting the effort in. Of course you're.
But also it's like our number one, again, and to, piggyback off what you said earlier, the teachers are great.
Yeah.
They're lovely.
Yes.
They're in a broken system.
Yes.
So how do you expect to
them.
succeed in a broken system?
Yes.
And then on top of that, you already know this. You're going in, essentially like, the task at hand is larger than like the huge mission, right?
Yes.
But it's like, and for my kid, she doesn't care. But also, what are we doing to incentivize them to care?
Right.
Like I was doing a math assignment with her, and we were doing decimals, and once I converted those decimals into dollars, it was like the light bulb switched on because she could understand because it's tangible. It's real life.
Oh my gosh.
Why are we not using real life examples, real life things so that our kids can learn? It's like that. There's a place here called Kidzania. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been there?
No.
You should go.
Okay.
Because it would be really good for not only, it would be a good place for you to go and also potentially meet the kids there.
Okay.
And then like you could use that as like in some sort of your business.
What is it?
It's like a little town.
Oh.
And they can go in and they do different jobs and like
is it like Playtown? There's like one in Dallas.
Yeah,
that
but it's like Playtown but better.
Okay.
Like they can go in,
What a dream.
They can work at like Pi 5, they can make pizzas, they can be a firefighter, they can be a cop, they can be this, they can be that, they can work at stores. Like it's all this, it's like this tiny little town, and then they really
and kids
are
love
like,
that stuff.
They're bought in, like 100%. They love it. But anyway, like for Chloe, she literally makes YouTube videos and she doesn't even have a channel.
Yeah, she told me
She's
that.
like, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about, she just did it this morning and she put me, we were on FaceTime. She's like, Mom, I'm going to share my screen with you. Look at my YouTube. video that I just made. And that's all she's ever wanted.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. It's the culture. It's, you know, what a lot of kids think is cool is like influencer and influencing and whatever. And again, that's why she wants the things that she wants for Christmas, because of influencers and because of YouTubers. But it's just like, why would I not let her pursue that when that is literally her natural gift?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry, you could be a millionaire by the time you're like 15. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
And it brings her a lot of joy, you know?
She loves it.
And I mean, there has to be like a balance and a safe way to do it. But I think...
Oh, I would manage the channel for sure.
Of course.
Let me add that on my list of shit to do.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, let me just add that job title. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like Kris Jenner. But
the devil works hard.
Yeah.
Kris Jenner works hard.
Dead. But I was going to say too, like I always say this when I'm working with kids or like just families in general, because any relevant like skill, information, if I can give them a reason why this matters, it is like the light switches turn on.
Yeah.
Like literally at work, one of the other days with the kids, I was explaining that like, you know, when they go to college or whenever if they don't ever do their own laundry or wash their own dishes or do these things, that's going to be something where eventually when you're on your own, you're going to have to do it, or you're going to be around someone that needs you to do it, or you don't want to not know how to just do the basic things.
Right.
And I was like, you're not going to get this in school. And so I was like, go over to that dishwasher and see if you can figure out how to get it to turn on.
Yeah.
And so they like ran over and were like figuring, I mean, they're young, but I was like,
that's William right now. He's 18 months old.
Yes.
Or he's 20 months old.
Oh, I taught one of the tiny, 2 years old, to literally, I was loading the dishes and I just said, okay, I was like, pop this in right here, put it right here. And she did it. She was loading the dishwasher. I was like, they can do anything at any age, truly.
And they want to help.
They want to help. They want to be a part of the household. It makes them, that is what's so critical too.
That builds their confidence.
Aiding, I was just going to say, in building and aiding in their confidence, their self-worth. They know that like, if I'm given a task, I can do it and it's going to be okay.
I can
do it right the first time.
I can achieve the goal that I set out to do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I might not put all the dishes in the proper way. My mother would always reorganize them, but it's fine. It's all good.
Weird. And then you wanted to find a place for everything?
Totally crazy. I am the merge of both. Yes. Yes. Wild. We always say that like I got a double dose of my parents, like, because they're very organized but in different ways.
Yeah.
And my brother kind of got like maybe not.
Sorry, brother.
But no, he's
Sorry about
living
you,
his
buddy.
best life.
He's like, I don't care.
He's going to be like, please don't talk about me on...
Ever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Give her to follow. No, I'm kidding. But I do think that like that's where, yes, the relevancy of those skills and stuff is so important. And so like in my general, I would say like, I don't know, guiding mission, if for lack of a better term, is like we need the basics, right? We need the basic arithmetic, of course. We need the basics like, you know, grammar and learn. Like we didn't like dissect sentences, but even that stuff's really critical, like just for the language we speak, writing well. Like, okay, we like literature and math, the basics of how the world works.
Yeah.
Yes, good. But then when we go into such advanced classes of that become just like this routine process. The teachers don't get paid well. They hate their life. Like it's just like this rudimentary, like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
No one's enjoying that.
Nobody.
Of course no one's enjoying that. And
so,
it's like...
it's so uncanny to think that the kids would be checked out.
Yes.
No, it's not.
And you know, like if you're a kid that you walk into like an advanced calc class and you're like in a dream world, like not...
Dude, that was me.
Like really?
In pre-cal. Yes.
Okay, love that.
Dreaming.
No, I mean, you
the
love
opposite?
it. The opposite.
No, I hated it.
Yeah, right. I was like, really?
I was like, this is my nightmare.
Yes. Well,
terrible.
And that's what I mean is like, if you are that niche, like that child, it's because it's just the thing is like, they exist. They're just not everybody.
Right.
And so, you know.
Like, that's going to be your engineer. It's working at Texas Instruments
and we
for
love
the rest
that.
of his life.
And they know that. Like, they know that. You can probably peg that earlier. So, like, go on. Mazel tov.
Please,
have a great time.
go.
Go forward.
Yes.
We love this for you.
Become an engineer.
Yes.
Love
And
your
they
life.
will be great in that sphere, in that
Yes.
space, and we need them. But the other kids, like, being forced into that track.
Yes.
You know, like, I just remember, I mean, I was good at math. I did not enjoy those high levels. I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do this.
I love geometry.
My friends and I are doing our work together.
Like
yes.
The other.
No,
I didn't
same.
like pre-cal.
I like geometry made sense, though, right? It was relevant. You can see the way that shapes and things go together, work, like and then algebra, I mean, that's just the basics of, like, you know, you have this, you
Figuring
don't have this,
out
how
the
do you
unknown.
need... Yes,
Right.
and like cooking.
Right.
If I need to double this, we'll have to double those,
Yeah.
like whatever. So I think all that, if it has relevancy, is critical. But I'm like, let's fill the spaces.
Yes.
Instead of like going...
And why are we making it so hard?
Yes.
Why haven't we like decrease the workload? Make this stuff easier.
It is
Give
not
us
about
real
homework
life
and paperwork.
Dude,
No.
please tell me what you learned from that.
Like,
you know what I mean?
You just learned that you have too much
Genuinely.
work and you're stressed
Literally.
at a younger age
and
than
this
you
shit
need to be.
sucks. That's what I learned. Yeah.
I mean, truly, Maria Montessori, who is like one of the pinnacles,
She's incredible.
incredible, was like so like ahead of her time.
And Chloe went to a Montessori school at first.
Lovely.
For like from the time she was, I think, almost 2 until like kindergarten or first grade.
Yes.
So it was like, and in that school she thrived.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. The kids that I don't have, but they will be going to Montessori, no doubt.
The kids that I don't have.
Yes.
My future children.
Yeah, the twins.
Yes.
But I think I always say that. But
Two and done.
Yeah. That's it. But really, and it's like not to say every kid would thrive in Montessori. Like I do think to me, I feel like there's a way that they could, but again, it's all about like the group you're with and what's going on. And
right.
But the point of it is like we allow kids at a young age to decide what they love and then spend their time doing some of that. Like if they want to play with this set of toys instead of this thing, or they want to go make that instead of this, or they want to go have a snack.
Why can't we let them?
Let them do it. And then they learn to like, well, I'm going to clean up my snack after I eat it, or I'm going to put this back, or like,
yes.
And then I watch videos on this all the time because it's so interesting to watch their little brains. Like if they're doing a puzzle thing and they need to find a missing piece, like they will spend 30 minutes. Don't tell me kids can't focus. Like if they're interested in it, they can. So it's like we just
Bro, my daughter can edit
a
12-minute YouTube video.
Yeah, she'll be editing this podcast.
Like
it's great. Yeah,
exactly.
But like it really, there's so when you can channel it, and I think that's true with anybody. But I think it's so when they're young, like allowing them, and then also allowing them the autonomy to do what they want and enjoy it, instead of just like forcing them to sit in a chair and do this work and this regimented schedule and only have 10 minutes outside.
And like
it's
pass
horrible.
some test that was based on
nothing.
I don't know, some old people that decided that's what there's.
It's all made up.
Literally all made up.
And that's where, like in Finland, my favorite place, we'll be moving.
On my way now.
On my way, can't wait. They really don't. I mean, it's never standardized testing based, and there's all different like ways that they kind of do it. But that's not how we do it. They allow them to kind of. There's a guide. They have like 2 different phases, but like that you guide into like what's your kind of main avenue, and then it is kind of based a little more trade versus not trade, but like you need those, and then you can learn the other skills.
Aren't most European schools that way too?
Some, yeah. It just depends. I mean, I don't know
depends
the details
on
of all of them, but Finland's what I like did a big deep dive in, and they all. But I mean, the biggest thing too that comes with a lot of those well-known, well-renowned countries that have an education system, like Japan too, South Korea.
Yeah,
they have teachers that are first of all paid well, but then that they can meet and talk about like, well, what's going on? What's working for you? What do you think about this? How did we do this? Oh, well, this worked for me. This didn't. This child is really showing signs of this. And so they problem solve any barrier that comes
strategy,
up, which is so critical, but they also are incentivized to do it because they have the time, they're paid well. And it's like, and for Montessori, what I love is like, it just allows these kids to do what they like. Like our world shouldn't be, it's so stressful on parents and teachers to day to day, hour by hour, be like forcing little people to do this other thing. Like, just let's allow some space for them to naturally do what they love and care about.
And also just be kids.
Yes, and build those skills. Like, when they're outside playing, it's building their immune system, it's building their motor skills, they are becoming like better people. Yeah, maybe they break their arm once. It's fine. Like, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, the bones are soft.
It's fine.
It's malleable.
They're figuring it out.
Put it back together.
Yeah.
Cast, really easy. Yeah, I mean, it's true.
But it kind of
Buddy's had stitches in the same spot in his forehead twice.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's wild.
He is wild.
He's a boy.
Yeah.
He's a kid.
And they need that. Like, really, I mean, I was just talking about this the other day. The importance, I think, when boys especially are young, in terms of like risk taking is really critical because it allows
he's going to lose his 2 front teeth.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be dead because he falls so much.
Yeah.
Right on his teeth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, pull him.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
They'll be cute.
Yeah.
Forever.
They'll
be a
fine.
toddler with no teeth.
Yeah. It'll be so cute. And then one day he can get veneers. It'll be fine. But he'll have confidence in the fact that he took some risks and survived hard things.
He is the most self-assured baby.
Yeah.
I mean.
He's so cute.
Oh my God. Fearless.
But so curious. He's so curious.
Insanely curious.
He just wants to be involved.
Chloe did not feel secure enough to be as curious as he is.
Yeah. First kid.
Not with like, Yes.
Yes.
Cautious.
I mean, as social as I am, I was
cautious.
a very shy baby.
Yes. Same. Yes. And younger child.
Yes.
Like, yes.
Isn't that interesting?
It's almost weird because I didn't understand that
you were too?
Oh my God. So scared.
Crazy.
The anxiety.
Why would we like that?
I used to bite my nails down to the nubs.
So I have to get them done. I don't touch them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so funny. I would like hide. I remember like, and it wasn't in my safe space, but like with other
No,
people,
but like outside.
I would like hide behind like if I wanted to hold a baby as a baby,
I
I'd be like,
couldn't
Mom.
I wouldn't even order condiments at a restaurant.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Charles, can you ask the server if I can have more?
Yeah.
And he's like, me? I'm the shy one. I'm not asking
Like,
the server
what?
or anything.
That's
Shut up.
Crazy request, but a good skill to build, right?
Yes, but which is also, again, like I think about the things that I needed as a child, and that's what I implement as a parent. So I'm like, when we go to restaurants, Chloe is required to order. She's required to make eye contact.
That was my tip last week.
Yes. Like everything. Like everything.
Yep.
Start to do the things now. It's same with like school. If she like, forgets an assignment, if she like misses it doesn't make a good grade on a quiz or something, she's required to talk to her teacher and figure it out.
Yes.
Not me.
Right.
I'm not going to email the teacher.
Right.
I'm not going to figure it out. I'm this close to getting her own email address so that she can be emailing the teacher. But like, you're in their class every day.
Yeah.
Go talk to them now.
I would do that all the time, chat with them after school.
She's like, oh, I'm so nervous. I'm so scared. I feel like, because based on the way some teachers react, and again, not every student is going to be receptive to the same type of reaction.
Right.
So like if a teacher was like, being sarcastic or funny with another student, Chloe takes that personally as like they're going to be dismissive if I want to go talk to them about something that is serious because they're being dismissive and funny right now in this moment. Mm-hmm. So like I have to talk her through working through that and also like getting the courage to go talk to them and say, hey, I know that I made a bad grade on this. I need to make it up. Is there anything that I can do?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty perceptive.
But
of
1
her
week,
to
bro,
notice
it took like every 5 days, all of the days.
Yeah.
She would not do it any day.
Yeah.
It was like finally by Friday, I was like, listen, you're not leaving the house this weekend if you don't go talk to your teacher.
Go.
Like, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah. And she did it.
Yeah.
And she felt so much better.
And it was fine. Well, and truly, and that's where like I feel like it's super helpful because I remember actually when my mom and I would kind of role play, you know, like well, let's play that out.
Yes.
Okay, so what could you say?
Yes.
How could you start? I remember I went to a new high school that was a public school, and like that day, my mom was like, well, if you're meeting new people or something, like what's something you could say or you could ask them. And truly, I used that the whole day because I was like, I don't know these people.
True. Yes.
Yes. I was like, where did you go to school before? It's great. But I think it's really helpful, especially in moments where you are a little nervous or you haven't done it before because you're a kid.
Yes.
That you have some tools. And that's really my like core passion and like what I want to provide is like, it's not to say it's going to be the end all be all and fix everything. It's just some tools to have in your life toolbox that you can pull out at a moment of like, what do I do here? I have no idea. I've never navigated this before, And I think that's where parents need to have some tools and then kids too. And I was going to say earlier that like the dumb cliche little quote of like teach someone to fish as opposed to bringing them fish every day, right? Yes. Like it's that with everything 100%. With kids. Like if it takes a little bit more like
patience, time, energy, effort,
all the things.
All of it.
To do that in that moment.
Yes.
And do it when you have space. If you're exhausted from a long day of work, you don't have to do it that moment. But like
pick another time.
Yes.
Right.
But teaching them and then because then you just like I always say like not in a scary way, but my kids are gonna be like my little worker bees. Like not like they're gonna do this stuff for the household. They will do all the things I'm doing.
Yes.
And they're going to know how to do it. And they may not do it right the first time, but that's fine. They'll figure it out, you know? It's going to be great.
And I'll walk them through it.
Yeah.
It's like, and the same for Chloe. Like the other day I got her a whiteboard to like keep in her bathroom and we were going to keep it in the kitchen, but whatever. And it's like a list of all the things that Chloe has to do before school.
Yeah.
Chloe's required to make her own lunch. Chloe's required to make her own breakfast. Chloe's required to get herself dressed.
Yeah.
She's required to tell me if she wants me to curl her hair because it's going to take time. And like all of these things and then like she has them all itemized on a list. Like this is the first thing I need to do. This is the second thing I need to do. And then at the very end, it says, ask mom if she needs me to do anything else.
Love.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, that just putting that, and I made her write the list.
Yeah.
Because she wrote it.
Right.
So it's in her writing.
Yes.
She understands it.
She's doing it for herself.
Exactly.
Because it's her life.
Right. And it's not for me.
Doing things to promote that. Yes.
Right.
No, exactly. And like what I was saying earlier too, like giving them kind of more of that autonomy as they age and when appropriate.
Yes.
Like allows them to decide, well, yeah, do I want to sleep in a little bit more and have to maybe sacrifice my hair being curled by mom? Or do I want to wake up earlier and have that happen? Like, I get to decide.
Right.
And they always would say, too, like research suggests that if you say that statement, even just that, like, okay, do you want this or do you want this? You decide. Right. And like what's appropriate when they're younger or older. But like, and I do that all the time. This isn't a choice. So would you like this or this for a snack?
Yes.
You decide. And then when they're older, well, do you want to get up earlier and have your hair curled or would you like to sleep in? You decide. And like, I think it's great to do all of that. And that's what I mean. Like you do a lot of these things, I think, just organically that a lot of parents just maybe don't know. They don't know.
Right.
Don't know they could
or
do it.
They don't know that it's like an option.
Yes.
Because some people I know, like you said earlier, there are some, and some people that are really close to me that it's a lot easier to just take the decision-making process away. But then what are you left with? Mm-hmm. And when are your children going to learn? You're left with a
never-ending chore list and kids that want your attention but don't have any of it because you're too busy.
And also, we can be doing things together.
Totally.
Like, that's the biggest thing that I want to work on too with like the toddler and Chloe is like
the toddler,
William, buddy, brother, whatever his name is, the toddler. But like, getting them involved at the level that they're capable of being involved in. You know what I mean? Like, but when I'm putting away dishes, like I can't have the toddler putting away steak knives. You know, like that's not a thing.
A little risky.
But like, meet them at their level, meet her where she's at, type of thing. Yeah.
Yes. No, truly, it's so
But
important.
I mean, even me, I'm a single parent now. So it's like, dude, time? What's time?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I mean, I think too, it's like, again, if you're going to have to do it, that's what's hard. And I think where we avoid that because it's a more difficult choice decision, you know, we haven't done it yet maybe. So it's just like there's a barrier and I know I can do it in this amount of time by myself, right?
Yes.
But I think that's where
I can complete that task in 15 minutes.
Yes.
If I involve children, it's 45 to an hour.
Yes.
Right.
But it's like, that's where I always try to also just make it fun. Like I'll put on music and like we can dance around and like put the dishes away and talk. And then there you go. Like it can be a fun experience. And like maybe it's hard to do every single day, but I do think that trying to do that, because like we all have to do life. Why suffer through it? And same thing I say with like in the classroom, why force these tiny children to like sit when they're dreading it and they don't want to and they want to play and they want to talk and they want to do this stuff.
Know.
Like they're going to get the stuff they need. They're going to get the arithmetic and the basic skills. You know, like we know how to teach that. It's like what we don't teach well is the, you know, just like figuring those things out, the relationship stuff. Like in Montessori, what I love too, not only that everything is like their size and level, but it's like they also love mentorship, which is like older kids.
Oh, dude.
So you basically take out.
Brothers Daycare does this flawlessly. So like the bigger kids at daycare, they go till kindergarten, right? The bigger kids are the helpers.
Yes.
So they're in the morning, they're getting cups for the little kids. They're getting the plates for the little kids. They're setting the table for the little kids because they feel like they're contributing.
Yes.
Yes.
And they want to do it.
Yes. And then the little kids look up to the big kids because they're like, oh, one day I'll be a helper.
Yes.
And it's like, yes.
Which like we all remember that.
Which is always like, you know, that's the daycare that he goes to is called Almost Mom, and the owner, her name is Heidi, so they call her Miss Heidi. Like Miss Heidi's just got like, you know, 12 minions, like just doing all the work.
No,
literally.
That's probably a better term, minions, than my worker bees, but like that's
either one.
Yeah, the twins will be the minions.
Both
like,
are great.
Doing all the things. But it's like, and that's where, you know, as long as it's not too risky at steak knives, but like you can always try it out, you know, and if they respond well and like want to do it, like you can give them more than maybe expected.
Right.
This there was this book I was reading by Dr. David Yeager, I think is his name, and it's called 10 to 25, and they talk about like he's like we kind of have this unfortunate view where either like I'm going to let them do it when they're, you know, old enough or their frontal lobes developed, or I'm, you know, and I'll do
LOL
everything.
at 30?
Like, sir.
Okay. I know.
But, you know, like the helicopter thing is so real. And it's like, I feel like we're eventually moving away where we see that, but there's so much of that reverse parenting where like they were too hands-on, I'm so hands-off. There, you know, it's like, it's the middle.
Because all things are free-range parenting. That's cool.
All things are balanced.
Ma'am, your toddler just went in the pool.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. He can swim.
Like,
oh, okay.
Yeah. So watch out. Yeah.
Can he swim?
But I think he talks about how he made this funny quote, and he's like, you know, they may not want to like do the things that you really need them to do because the school system's making them do 80 pages of homework a night.
Right.
But if they want to sneak out to go to a party that their friends are out, they become General Patton. Like they can do anything they want to do if they put their do it.
I'm like,
I was cracking up at that.
PTSD, memories from childhood.
And like you think about it, like what's important? All, you know, your cultural stuff, like your peers, your social life is really important at that time, and like feeling connected to it, figuring it out.
Dude, it's insanely important.
And probing in that space is important
for them
at
that time.
And he's like, you have to meet them where their motivation is.
Yes.
You know, and understand that. And that's true at any age. Like they're obviously not as influenced by that stuff when they're young, but like they want to help, they want to be involved, they just want to feel loved.
I know.
That's all they want.
And they want your attention more than anything, which is like the phone makes it so much harder now.
So much harder.
Yeah.
I mean, because most things, like some of it is testing the waters, seeing how far we can get.
Boundaries,
but
baby.
Most of it is I need you to affirm and reaffirm to me over and over that I'm important and I matter.
Yes.
And if we don't get that
consistently
as little kids, unfortunately, you will have to be
and they
seeing
need
a therapist.
It. Welcome to my 20s
and
early 30s.
I have been to like 4. We love them all.
I've had numerous, so many.
Highly rec. I mean, it's a great.
For sure. Like, you should go.
Bottom line from this, therapy and coaching, it's never not helpful. It may not be your favorite person ever or whatever. You can have,
not.
You know, but never not helpful.
Oh, yeah.
We all need it.
Absolutely incredible.
Yes.
Got my therapist on speed dial. We're good. Yeah, I think the biggest thing too, and like you and I kind of talked about it after you had the like the life walk with Chloe.
Yes.
Is just like providing something that you're giving to parents is like, again, a neutral but positively contributing adult.
Yes.
And you're like the cool aunt. You're like the fun aunt.
Yes.
You literally spoke her
you.
language from like the moment that you walked
Yeah.
in the house, which is great because they feel so seen, so validated, so comfortable. Like you immediately put her at ease to where she felt like she wanted to talk to you. Because I know as a parent, and it's not that we do this on purpose, it's because we want the best for our children, but it's also like we have to check our egos, our insecurities, our I guess fears, right? Anxieties, everything around parenting, and like the way that we speak to them, it can come off so often as like judging or telling them what to do.
Yes.
And it's just like nobody wants to be talked at all the time.
No.
Nobody.
No. And I mean, that's like a big part of, I think, what...
They tune you out.
Yeah.
That's why you got to repeat yourself 100 times.
Totally.
Right.
And it's like, and that's where like, you know, what I call the parenting gap, right? We just don't learn anything
Yes.
in terms of how to navigate that. But like, we are our own people trying to raise a tiny person, if not the twins. And so it's like, it's literally, that is, so I'm dealing with not only all of my own things from the day, from life, from whatever I've dealt with that day, feedback I've gotten, not gotten, given, not given, whatever.
Yes.
And then I have to take that, and I think that's something that I feel like I've really worked on in just my time and years working with truly like every age of kids.
Yeah.
Like I've really worked on, if this is triggering for me or this is annoying to me or this is, how do I really just take that, let it pass, take a deep breath,
Yeah.
and then approach the situation calmly. Because kids, at the end of the day, all they do, they're going to mimic. Like that's what they do. That's how they learn. That's how they figure things out. And so if you are very reactionary and not that you can't be passionate, but if it is strong and mean or strict, like too much of the time,
Yes.
that is, it's not helpful,
No.
you know, and
It's counterproductive.
And most of the time they don't even really know what they did wrong. Like
Right.
that's where you have to sit down, get on their level and be like, this is not appropriate because of this. I know it feels fun or exciting
Yes.
or it, you know, is
Right.
silly.
Yeah.
But that's just not, unfortunately, what's going to work. So what I would love is let's work on doing this. Let's
Yes.
work on, like with one of the kids I nanny, we always have a theme each like kind of week or month, depending how we're doing. And it's just like, I just bring it up, you know, like we were doing problem solving, very important. Problem solving, critical thinking, emotional regulation, all the things. And like sometimes I'll use bigger terms and she gets it. And so I will regularly be like, okay, here's something that's a conflict. Like one day her brothers ate her Cheetos. Oops. And I was
Rude.
like, yes, I get it. And I was like, listen, I know this is really upsetting.
Yeah.
And we talked
So
about
number one, you validated her.
yes, naming our feelings or validating. And I was like, but we can't bring the Cheetos back. Unfortunately, right now that's not, we can't do it. I know. And, you know, so I was like, how can we problem solve in this situation and make ourselves find a solution that's going to work for all of us? You know, I was like, I know we're upset, but like screaming at your brother isn't going to make your Cheetos reappear.
Literally.
So, and she was like, okay, I can problem solve. And she will use this term now, I will say, I'm very proud, all the time. Like she will say, Miss Hannah, we can problem solve. Miss Hannah, I can problem solve this. And I love it.
Well, yeah, because they're tiny computers.
Yes, they are. And she's
They're
so
ready to
smart.
be
They can do all
programmed.
these things. They're so
Right.
resilient. And so, you know, she was like, well, maybe we could go to the store and get more. And I was like, maybe, but I don't know if we have time right now. And you know, she's like, okay, well, maybe I can go look and see if there's another snack I can have now. You know, whatever it is, right? And then we also said, like, for the future, if there's something that you are very excited to eat and would be very distressed if
Let's
someone
make
else
sure
ate,
that-
we will write your name. So now we will write our name on our snacks. That are extremely
that's
important
fair.
snacks.
Yeah.
You know, so like, but like
Strategizing.
yes.
Yeah.
And so whatever works. And there's so many things we should be doing in that space that we don't. Like my friend sent me this video on, because obviously all I do is talk about education and kids, the Finnish education system. And they start at age 6 having a class that focuses on critical thinking and like examining media and looking at like, okay, is this something that makes sense? Or like, how can I kind of look at this data and be like, but is it real? Like, or is there,
Right.
you know, is it backed by research? Is there a study that supports it? Like, instead of just taking in all this information and you know, believing all that we hear. Because unfortunately today, like, there is a lot of stuff that's not maybe true or based in research or accurate. And so that's where like learning to discern and kind of dissect that information is so critical. And they start at 6 and then they have classes that do
Right.
that all throughout. I was like, we're not even close to that.
At like 20.
We got people just taking it all in, being like, "Great, that happened. Great."
Well,
like,
and it's so funny because I made this not conclusion, I don't know, observation.
Yes, observation, sure.
The other day, like how we even as adults, like the patterns that we repeat, that we've continued to repeat since probably adolescence, like, because that was the lesson that we learned. Like this specific example was just like a couple that like couldn't decide if they were going to break up or get back together, break up, get back together. And it was just like an awful cycle. And I'm like, wow, these people are 50.
Wow. Yeah.
Like at no point have you ever learned from this lesson?
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's what we do. We just
quote, going back to safety, not moving forward.
Literally.
Hard to watch.
Over and over and over. So hard. Fun. Hard to watch.
I mean, that's truly like all of entertainment, reality TV. It's like hard,
Trash.
entertaining.
Trash.
Please don't embody that.
Anxiety inducing. No, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay. I want you to kind of talk about a little bit about like your model and maybe like who your target audience is. Because I know that like obviously your target audience is parents, but I want to know like which parents would benefit from working with you, or which kids?
Well, I mean, ideally, like I think there's. I think that
you're like every single kid on
every
the planet.
child. It's like I wouldn't ever turn someone away. I think it's more just that. Yeah, when you're just so busy and working parents and they just don't, like, you obviously love your child and you want to be there for them, but you just can't give them all the support and time all the day, all day, every day, because no one can.
Right.
But I think especially when it's like there's siblings, there's jobs, there's school, there's after, you're in the heat of like that time where there's just so much going on, so many moving parts.
Yeah.
I think taking a minute, like, because I mean, I offer 30-minute and 1-hour sessions. I mean, obviously we could kind of ebb and flow in that space, and allowing them someone, because I think what Chloe really enjoyed was like having, this is like my time, this is my person, and I'm, I don't have to worry about what brother's doing or what mom needs or what I need to, like, this is just for me. And I think that's really empowering
so beneficial
for kids.
Yes.
And, and so I would say like it's adolescent life coaching, but I think also child. I mean, there's kids that would really benefit if they're willing and like interested in this. Like I would never say no. I think it just depends on the age and the child. But I think also just like that's why I wanted to focus on adolescence, because dealing with that time, we all remember like puberty and hormones and, the social norms and friendships, and like you're learning and dealing with so much, and there's so much input, and you've never done any of that before, that it's just a lot and it's hard.
Yeah.
And again,
your parents are barking at you to do stuff all the time, and you're just like, oh my God, I hate you, Mom.
Truly, yes. My dad was like, you turn 13, you're going to be like, oh no, like, oh my God, duh.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Yes. It's insane.
Yeah.
But also it's starting younger and younger, especially for girls.
Oh,
like puberty, like everything. Like Chloe is already entering the phase where I feel like I didn't enter until like 12 or 13.
Yes. I mean, and also just like their exposure to information or like, social media, anything, like they just.
Phthalates, who knows?
Yes.
It's everything.
It's so much. It's crazy. It is crazy.
It's awful.
And like hormones are a lot. Like, I mean, I read The Female Brain and the Male Brain, these books by Dr. Luann Brizendine in my master's when I was just clearly doing all those things. And she talks about how, like females obviously have more of a kind of hormonal wave, right? And so it's like, that's a lot and it happens. And like, dealing with that is important, and having talks about that is super important. There's a lot of taboo topics, whether it be relationships, dating, sex, puberty, that are so critical. And and they're hard, but like we can do hard things, as Glennon Doyle says. Like,
I have continually
have to navigate that.
Yes, I have continually had age appropriate sex conversations with Chloe since she was old enough to understand the difference between,
body parts,
anatomy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally.
Yes, naming the anatomy.
We've always used anatomically correct terminology, which is funny because I was telling someone this the other day, and they were like, and I said, we always say penis, testicles, and then I said butthole, and they were like, oh, but butthole is not anatomically correct. I was like, yeah, but it's a kid. Yeah. Come on, man. Like, what do you want me to call it? An anus? Would you like me to call it a rectum and then an anus? Is that what you want me to say? No, it's a kid. I could say butthole.
Yes. And truly, like, and there is some, like, weirdness or humor around that. And, like, that's fine. That is what it is.
Right.
We all know that. Like, it's not.
Every time the word penis is said in my home, it's just like, oh, my God.
Oh, no.
Penis?
Help. That's scary. But it's like, that's what I love about this stuff in like the taboo topics is that the thing is like, it's so universal though. Like even if, whatever your sexual orientation, your relationship status, your anything, we all deal with going through a puberty phase. Who doesn't
still giggle at the word penis?
Yes, exactly. Like figuring out our bodies, figuring out our what we want in a relationship, what we don't like, what we're attracted to. Like no matter how that looks for you.
Yeah.
Like everyone goes through that. Like we all deal with it. We all I mean, unless you're a priest, you probably have sex at some point. Like we're
whatever.
all figuring it out, So that's where we have
She's
this
a
like
nun
shared
or a monk,
yeah.
whichever.
Whoops. We have this shared humanity in those experiences that like we just don't really talk about, and I think it's so important. And and that's not to say like I would, I'd let the child or adolescent kind of bring up those topics as it was coming up, and they felt safe. But
have
I
you
do
dealt
think,
with that, like with like having conversations with teenagers?
A little bit,
Yeah.
like some. I mean, I think. What I remember is like I love talking to people about their experience because I mean since I normally like would work with kids older, like we would talk in the car. I would notice like when I was nannying in LA, but I was younger then. Like they would share things then sometimes, but I'm not usually like in that space nannying what I've done so far. Yeah. Kids of that age because they've kind of grown out of it. But that's where I think the coaching can be really, really useful. And sometimes there will be moments where they'll talk about this was really hard, this was really stressful. I like that, but
and I'm really lucky because Chloe still talks to me.
Yes.
Like she'll get in the car and she'll be like, Mom, this and this happened. And then like another one of my friends, she has a 12-year-old and he's in like 7th grade, I think. And, recently found out that kids at school are having sex. Yeah. And it's just like the fact that he told his mom that. And then like, and like, I'm just like, oh my God, freaking out. But also like, wow, how cool, Yeah. Or like my kid's still telling me about, so-and-so has a boyfriend and so-and-so has a girlfriend and this is what that means. And because I'm asking her, what does that mean to you or whatever, But yeah, I mean, and like not only those conversations, but like, I obviously see the value in what it is that you're doing. I think for like everyone who's listening to, I would just say like, what would if like let's say you're talking to I don't know a mom's group or something, like what would you say, like what would be your pitch about what you're doing and what you're offering to these parents and like where you add value?
I think that the main the main idea is like adolescence, no matter which way you shake it, is hard. It's tough and it's super influential in the way that we navigate the world. Yeah. If that phase of life is really hard and we have no support, who knows where we go? Yes. Who knows what triggers stay with us and move forward and we risk things or we find vices that stay with us for a long time. Like I think there's a lot that can come from that. And I'm sure we've all met people that we're like, man, that was tough. Like you had a rough time, or whatever. And I mean, I think it's hard for everybody because there's just a lot going on. Like we said, a lot of body changes, a lot of everything. But I think that it is tough in having a supportive pillar and a safe space because sometimes parents can say the exact same thing I say, but it just...
Dude, I say it all the time.
Yeah, like... It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what I say.
They've heard that before.
They don't care.
Your voice is like, I can take it sometimes I can't all the time. So
you're annoying, Mom.
Yeah. And like,
I know you love me.
The best thing about coaching too is it's I'm not saying like, you need to do this. Okay, tomorrow I'll do this, then do that. Like, no, like I'm letting them come to their own conclusions of like, let's talk about it. Why is this hard? Well, what's something maybe we could do? It's the problem solving of like just our day-to-day lives, whatever's, coming at us. Sure. And I think that's where I'm not there to like, okay, they're dealing with this now. Let's solve that. It's like, no, I'm kind of more just a place that they can come and maybe talk it out or feel seen or feel like they're not alone because they're not, but they don't know that because their world is small and everything matters so much more than maybe it really
parents
does.
Suck and they just don't understand.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be triggering too. I think like, I don't know. I just feel like I remember, not that, my parents did anything wrong, but there were times where like, I just needed to talk something out more. Yes. I didn't, and I was getting aggressive and I was getting argumentative because I didn't understand.
And it seems disrespectful. Yes. But it's not. Yes. Because you genuinely are trying to figure it out.
I'm trying to figure it out. Why was this not okay?
But it's hard as a kid, as a teenager, as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 15-year-old, 18-year-old, like to be able to look at your parents and be like, I don't understand. Right. Can you help me understand?
That level of vulnerability
Instead, you're just
is
like,
not...
I hate you, Mom.
Yes. And that's what makes sense for a lot of the like firebags. I mean, I said that a lot. I feel horrible about it.
Dude, I said it to my dad all the time. Hate you, Dad.
I know. And that's where you take it back to parents if they're triggered by that. Like my mom was very much someone who was a great mother, but she was very much a like, withdraw and pout about it person. And that doesn't, she's the parent. Like that doesn't serve me. Now I don't understand.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, weird.
Well, now I've done something wrong, but I don't really get it. I don't know what, Yes. But that level of vulnerability of being like, admitting I don't get this. Why was this not okay? Help me understand. Help me find a better solution. You don't know to say that. You're a teen.
You can't
there's just a lot happening.
Dude, we can barely put like two thoughts together.
A lot of
as
adults
a
can't
teenager.
even
We're
say
just
that.
like, I raging hormones.
Literally.
Dude, I'm mad at my mom.
Literally. Like, a lot of adults.
This girl at school
lack
is
those
making
skills.
fun of my shoes. Like,
Totally.
I know.
The boy didn't text me back. I mean, who knows? No cell phones. No, but I think.
No cell phones.
Yeah. but I think that, like.
Chloe with her phone and her YouTube channel.
Literally, her YouTube channel. That, one day. So cute. So cute.
Yeah, so cute.
But I think that yes, that is just where you just sometimes need someone to be like, it's so normal. It's okay.
Yeah.
You're doing the best you can do.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I wanted to kind of, where I can build rapport and build relationships with those clients. Like, I'm there, and it's not to say, like, you need to talk to me about stuff every day, but, like, maybe if there's a phase where things are harder, my friendships are kind of, I don't know, on the rocks, or I'm dealing with a lot, or, like, puberty just hit and I don't know what's happening. Like, that's where it can just be a resource.
Yeah.
To allow them to, like, feel seen and heard. And it's not to say parents can't do that. It's just that it's just different.
It's just different.
It is.
It is. It's
like
just a different vibe. It's a different feel. It's like a safe space.
Yes.
And I want to talk about that too. So like, because as a parent, right, if I'm hiring you as a life coach, I'm paying you for a service, right, for my kid.
Yes.
Okay, but what does that look like for me? Like how, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what is an interesting thing to navigate in this space, I think, because
I think for every kid and every parent relationship is going to be different, right?
Oh, totally. And that's where a lot of it is just kind of figuring out that relationship. So I always offer like a call in the beginning. Let's just talk about what are we dealing with? What's happening in your world? What do we need? What are we, and there doesn't have
like
to be
assessing. Yeah,
yes.
why you would want to utilize me.
Yes. And it's like, there doesn't have to be something wrong, right? It's not to say like, oh, we need this because there's an issue. Like, no, everyone benefits.
And if anything, I think like being proactive as a parent is your first line of defense.
And that's my goal.
Right.
It's like, let's do this and build a relationship so that when things happen or
when
kids are having sex in school,
when
or like, we have
7th
someone
grade?
else. That's no.
At school.
No.
7th grade.
Help.
How did you find out that goes in there?
No.
How do you know that?
Why?
Where? How?
Help.
Google is terrible.
Oh, God.
Porn on Twitter.
Oh, I can't.
I know, dude.
There's so much out there.
I know, dude.
So
I
much.
can't.
But really, I mean, I think the proactive approach is like, that's what I would love to start seeing more. It's just that, whatever you need. And it's the same thing as like you have, like a cool aunt or someone like you think about when you were younger and who you really looked up to, but also you were probably pretty influenced by, that like I remember.
Oh my God, I loved my aunt.
Yeah,
she was single. She had no kids. She was a flight attendant. She was living the jet set life and just going everywhere and doing everything. I was like, I want to be her when I grow up.
Or like your older, like whoever, right? Like the people that you just, and you definitely look up to. They're not a parent. And again, they could say exactly what your parents might have been saying all along.
Hits way harder.
Yes.
Hits
and like
different.
Some days you're willing to be open and take in that feedback from your parents. And some days you're not. And so I just think that's what this allows, and it's nice. And I think it can just like, again, it's about helping them build that self-confidence muscle and their resilience muscle. And like, that's what I love working on with them. It's like, yes, I'm there and I'm helping coach, but like we work through those gaps, like that's where I can't sit here and rewrite the policy for the education system too much, but I would love to just work, with kids every day of building what am I seeing? So the self-awareness, being, able to be autonomous, think about our thoughts and our emotions and what that really means and how we can then action things from that, or like what worked, what didn't work, and then just kind of moving through. Then my ultimate goal is like, how do we kind of work through those and finding our love, what we love and our talents and our passion, and how can we kind of like begin to be excited about things in our future and like what we want.
Like longevity.
Yeah. And like finding those paths, because I think too, like one of the biggest issues is if you're in these, like say you didn't, like Chloe didn't know that she was a great performer because she hadn't taken a dance class or something.
Yeah.
Like you're taking
maybe
these
she
classes,
had no direction.
Yes. And you are just constantly getting negative feedback in school because maybe math and science just ain't your thing and you don't like it and you don't really want to try.
She consistently gets negative feedback all the time.
Well, and it's
all the time. My kid is always in trouble. Last year I had to tell her teacher, I know this about my child. She doesn't care about what she doesn't care about. Mm-hmm. And her teacher was so offended that I would say that to her. Because she was like 2 years away from retirement. Oh. And that's just not the generation that she was raised in. And I'm like, listen, I'm not telling you this because I am preparing you for disrespect. I'm telling you this because my kid legit does not care. Yeah. So like, I already know. Yes. You and I are going to be talking all year.
Yeah, I already know.
Like, you can call me, text me, send me a carrier pigeon, doesn't matter. I'm aware.
Yes.
We've been dealing with it since she started in public school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what's so like that's what I love, and like the colors that make up all the different kids and the uniqueness we see in the world. Like she's headstrong and she knows what she likes.
She could be in sales.
Yes, like, and I was that way too. I was extremely headstrong, but I mean, I was shy at first, but then when I really like leaned into
me too,
who I was, then we're off. And like, but I mean, I've always been someone that knows what I want, and I am talkative and I'm passionate, you know, and like, and there's a spectrum of kids on, you know, all phases of that.
Yes.
But I think that that's what's great, and why, you know, finding what we love and where we can feel fulfilled
and add
so
value.
Critical.
Yeah.
Yes, adding value.
Yes.
Being contributing members of society.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
But I think if we don't see something in that sphere, I keep saying sphere in space, but like, whatever.
And if we don't really harness their strengths, then that
negative feedback takes over.
It really does.
And that's where you see kids leaning into like bad
Substances.
Peers, gross.
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say
drugs, alcohol,
anything,
negative
vices,
outlets, cutting,
anything.
etc.
Like, and because it can go really bad.
They feel like they're not contributing in a positive way, so then they start to become like a masochist, and they're hurting themselves.
And like and that's where like social media has a place, but I mean, and what they recommend, like the guy that wrote The Anxious Generation, he was like 4 tips. He's like, mainly is leading, like say it's there, we know it's there, and it can serve a purpose, but like waiting till they're at least more developed, like 16 or something. 16. He says like high school for phones, like or for smartphones. You know, like you can have like a communication device, but and then he was like, and then as like a community and a group, making sure that we are just incentivizing, like doing more things, like getting out there, meeting people, doing great. Like there's a lot of people that if you were more introverted, you feel safe and happy and fulfilled sitting at a computer, doing gaming, doing whatever.
For sure.
And that's, again, do what you need to do. Like I love when people find their passions. Like that's my favorite thing to talk to new people about.
Yeah.
But again, we have to think about it in the grand scheme of like, but what do we need as people?
Right.
Like as a human being,
social interaction
and like sunlight, you know, would be good. Like vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
I'm always like, what vitamin
like required.
is it?
It's kind of like a hormone. It's very important.
Yeah. She's like C, A. I was like D. You know it. It's fine. We go through all of them.
It's fine.
And like, and just the pillars of health.
It's funny that you say that about video games, because what I found in my ex-husband, who was very introverted, when he played video games, he slept better because that was his outlet. That was his channel for like getting out any stress, aggression, you know, frustration.
And did he do like live where he would be talking to people? So it was kind of a social.
He played with like a group.
Yes.
That's what they do.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
That's their, you know, their hangout or whatever. Yeah. That's like how they socialize, because they're all they're working towards a common goal, which is killing the enemy.
Right.
Call of Duty. But like outside of that, like that he would, on those nights where he played video games, he slept so much better.
That is super, I mean,
because
makes sense,
tracked
right?
our sleep. And like
totally.
he had got deep sleep.
Yes.
And it was like restorative sleep, REM sleep, all of it, because he was able to get out his frustrations.
Yes.
But he's also someone that, and this is not saying anything negative, it's just being transparent. He was someone that was raised in an environment where his feelings were not validated.
Right.
So like he's a very avoidant,
and I think a lot of
personality
men were boys living in that.
I mean, pretty much every man that I know that's in like my right. I mean, I think as parents now, millennials as parents, you know, we're amazing,
right?
But like millennials as parents are improving the mental health of our children and the emotional awareness of our children and the emotional intelligence of our children.
Yes,
leaps and bounds over what we
totally.
And
it's not even talk about like emotions.
It's not even like their fault either, because it's like they didn't know what they didn't know,
right.
And ignorance is bliss. But like, and their parents were told that their feelings didn't matter, and their parents were told that their feelings didn't matter. Like, so it's like, but no, we've reached the point where we're like, yes, they do.
And in the age of information, there's just no excuse. Like,
literally none.
We don't know everything because there's so much, but truly, we know enough of what we're like. That's what I mean. Is like, to me, every day seeing the education system be this antiquated piece of crap
so
that
bad.
it is.
It's so bad.
So like, it's like. You know, and I'm so passionate about this stuff that it's so
funny to me too that like no one is, and it's funny because my profession is like recruiting, and I recruit for like large companies, and it's like, how have these large companies have not done something to work with the education systems to where it's like, not only are we maximizing what we're learning in school, like, and I'm not saying get rid of universities, because you're definitely going to need them to teach. You know, advanced
and that's
education.
Where we can go in the very niche
topics,
right?
If you want to be a doctor, you're going to have to go to college. But like a salesperson, why would a salesperson have to go to college?
Yeah.
For what?
No.
The on-the-job training that they get is way more effective than college.
And in today's world, you're going to still have to have, like, every company runs things so differently that you're still going to have quite a bit of that training in whatever
on top of it
industry you're in.
Exactly.
And I always say this where I'm like, I think in college is great and I think there can be a lot of benefits, but a lot of times it's just like giving kids like a gap, you know, of time and school and development. You know, when it's like, we don't need to do that and then end up in tons of debt or whatever happens. Like, I think if you need college for the additional skills and teachings and learnings that you need for that track,
if you want to,
fabulous.
Potentially one day you want to become a CFO, you're going to have to go to college to get an accounting degree or a finance degree and go that way. But like, why are we not having conversations with these kids in, you know, middle school or exposing them to these industries? Like, but also, why haven't companies started thinking about this? You guys recruit out of colleges?
Yeah.
No, we need to be starting in like elementary school.
Yeah.
Focusing on where our skills are, what the workforce is going to need. There's a national shortage for accountants right now.
Yeah.
Why? Because accounting sucks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't pay. Well, nobody wants to do it.
Yeah.
Who wants to crunch numbers all day for $55,000 a year?
Truly.
It's worse than a teacher's salary.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I know.
So it's like, okay, well then how do we incentivize? Also, how do we get in front of the problem and be proactive versus like, oh my God, there's no accountant. What are we going to do? You guys didn't think about this shit?
Well, I think there's so many ways that we could incorporate, like, companies, you know, I mean, anything.
School,
that you can, like, in
everything.
getting internships and trying things, like
Culture.
Exposure. But it all comes back, to me, to exposure, like of how we don't need to be forcing them down these tracks that they hate, that they keep getting the negative feedback, that if they don't have external support and love, like, that's going to be really tough for them dealing with their growing up years and adolescence. But if we could expose them to, like I always say, these are silly examples, but, you know, if you like never had a parent that cooked and they would always order out or they weren't there, and then and you never,
or you ate out of like the freezer or the refrigerator,
and you never learned to cook, but then like one day you have a class, right, or you take something, and you're like, oh my gosh, I love this, it's my favorite thing ever, I'm gonna do this.
It's my passion. I want to be a chef.
Like, imagine your life not having found that skill. And I think there are a lot of people that do a dreary day-to-day job that they don't like, that makes them not as they don't show up in their relationships.
That's the majority of people.
I do too.
Right.
And they don't show up in the best way. They're rude. Maybe they're kind of in those. All those things
they
are
cut
ripples.
You off in traffic.
They're all ripples in the world.
They don't let you over.
Right. The energy is crap.
They flip you the bird.
It's bad.
Right.
And I think that a lot of it is like, I mean, I tell you, everything I track back is like the education system. This is what we need to fix.
Yeah.
Because it is, if you could get a more general view of exposure. And again, like if you find something that you love and you are that math, science, STEM kid that you love it, great. Like we have the resources. Go follow that track. Go get your degree. Go do those things. And it's perfect. We love that. We need that. But what we aren't paying attention to are the many, many other people that like are skilled in different areas and like need this exposure.
Yes.
And also trying new things is great for your brain, is fabulous for just figuring stuff out. And even if you do something that maybe isn't like, oh, that's going to be my career and my profession forever, it can give you knowledge about yourself.
Yes, try. Try.
Self-awareness. And it's giving you an understanding.
I learned the most empathy, the ability to multitask, working under pressure from working in restaurants.
Yeah.
From bartending forever.
Oh, it's one of like, and that's why like an internship or something just in any like small whatever, job is like, it's super helpful.
Yes.
Whether you like are a cashier, a waitress, a hostess, like who cares? You're learning.
But then we wonder like why there was we hired like he had just graduated college in my office, and he was like 22, maybe 23, and like the social skills. I mean, he would be like in the break room and he wouldn't talk to anybody. It's like, dude, you can't. I mean, you can't. You can't just like not like. You have to force the conversation.
Well, and that's where I'm like,
you have to do it.
We're over here teaching kids trig and calc, and they don't know how to communicate.
Nope.
We know nothing about parenting and dating. We have no skills in any I mean, truly, that's a whole other gap. Just relationships, familial, friends, coworkers, dating. Obviously, a huge one. We all know that.
Marriage,
all of it.
All of it.
Like, there's so many things, and it's not to say like, oh, here's your ways to navigate it and the fixes. Like, no, it's just tools in your toolbox that you can then use and understand. And like, I think especially for kids, that's where knowledge and just having exposure, having some understanding is so helpful. Cause like, maybe you don't love this for your career, but you understand that, okay, maybe they're really like, I was really organized, right? It's not necessarily like, oh, the job I want to do, but it's something that's
you're
helpful.
Not going to become the next home edit.
Yeah.
But
which love them.
You know
we
that
love
you're
the rainbow.
Of course.
Are these on my head, right?
Yeah,
okay.
you're good.
I feel like they're falling off. I was like,
Yeah. Not only that, but it's just like, what where do we go from here? Because you want to think that every generation is going to be an improvement, right? You want to think that we're going to get better. Okay, cool. So then, which I also thought like, wow, like when you and I first spoke about this and about your business and about what you're doing, I was like, why have we not thought about this before?
Thank you. I think about that every day.
Like my kid has gone to therapy multiple times just because, we've been divorced.
Yeah,
I've been divorced twice now.
Which is a great thing to do. I think a lot of parents.
Totally. Yeah, you should totally get divorced twice.
No.
It's a win.
Therapy part. Yeah, totally. We support.
We support multiple divorces. No, you should probably pick the right person first. Just a suggestion.
Easier said than done.
No, what? But why has this not been like a topic of conversation for like our kids and then for the future? I remember multiple times when I was a teenager thinking like, so I had the opportunity to go to college for free.
Love.
That opportunity was presented to me when I was already a senior in high school. So it was too late. It was too late.
Yeah.
I had zero preparation on, I had not taken my ACT, my SAT. I had zero preparation on what I wanted to do in the future. There was no conversation around it. It was just like, my kids, this is my mom, my kids are going to go to college. Okay, cool. But like, you have to work backwards from that.
Right.
So like, if you know
right.
that your expectation for your children is to go to college, which is why I've always been very upfront, honest, and candid with Chloe, you don't have to go to college. All I need from you is to be able to be self-sufficient.
Yeah, do something you care about.
That can
make you some money.
A job. That could be. I was like, because when she was younger, she was really fascinated with like tattoos and being a hairstylist and just very eclectic things. And I was like, listen, you can be a tattoo artist, you can be a hairstylist, you can do whatever you want because you can turn those things into a business, and then you open the business, and then you charge other artists to also work in said business, and then you have a sustainable model.
Yeah.
But like, what I'm not okay with is you never knowing what you want to do or never trying.
And just flailing
like
around.
You have to try.
Totally.
And you're not going to live here for free forever.
Right.
Like, I love you, but
I will charge you rent.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll save the money, and later on you can buy a house with it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, no. But like things like that, like and same with like the exposure. I expose her to anything and everything. I've always wanted to expose her to anything and everything. And I've always had very candid conversations with her about everything: sex, love, marriage, mistreatment, respect, adoration, everything.
Yes.
But it's like the hardest part, I was going to say something else, but I won't. We'll keep it clean. The hardest part about the entire thing is her learning and seeing other children who do not have the same experience in life.
Yes.
And who are not as open or talked to in the same way that Chloe is.
Yeah.
So like when she goes to the feedback from all of Chloe's friends is that her parents really love her because she's able to carry on a conversation.
Oh.
Right. So like they're like, Chloe's my little buddy because she wants to come in and talk to me, the parents, because the kids are just at a different level than her.
Yeah.
Which is like good and bad, right? Because you want her to get along with her peers and have a good experience with her peers, but it's like, But I think that like what you're doing is just like incredible. Like you're filling such a gap like that parents really need and that kids really need. Like parents are busy, and it's not even anything that's like their fault.
Right. Parenting is hard.
We're expected to do 7,000 things a day.
Yeah. Taking care of just myself is hard enough, like let alone when the twins come. I'm not pregnant.
Dude.
So I just think
She's not pregnant. She's also single and taking applications right now. If you know of any eligible bachelors in the DFW area. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good credit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Emotional intelligence would be great.
That would be preferred. That's number one.
But I do think like that's a really good point to bring up because yes, I feel like, and just even when we first started talking, we were like, okay, great, we can chat forever. This is easy. But you immediately opened up, your home to me coming in and like working with Chloe. Like,
and in chaos too. We were literally in the middle of painting Chloe's room.
Yes.
It was a mess.
Yes. She did get a little paint on the side. It was fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. We figured it out. We problem solved. And, but I do think that like that's not always the norm. I mean, I think there's just a lot of fear with parenting. You don't know what's going to happen, your first kid, like blah, blah, right? So it's just, but sometimes we have to, I always say this, we have to see the fear and then know that like our brains are wired to like survive it, like literally living as a caveman in the wilderness and get
lions and tigers.
We
and
don't,
bears.
that's not our world right now. So it's like, luckily, so we can see that fear and be like, but it's okay.
Right.
I know it's going to be okay. And exposing kids, like not only, I mean, when it's safe time and place, but like is the best thing for them to meet new people, see new experiences. Like in schools that are more diverse, whether it be age, background, ethnicity, where they're from, anything.
Yes.
Like those children are so much more prepared for just dealing with the world.
The world, dude.
Right? Like
the
if
world.
you don't know, there's not people that
That's what I
out
don't
there.
understand about school districts here. Like the ones that purposefully choose not to be diverse.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me.
It
I
is.
went to Duncanville High School, which was the most diverse school that I
Yes.
probably could have been exposed to. But it's such a gift.
Yes.
Such a gift.
It will affect those kids as they age. Like if you don't ever deal with people that aren't like you, you're going to be in a world of hurt when you're at a job interview and there's someone that isn't like, you know what I mean? Like if you don't have that
How do
ability,
you relate and have a
Right.
conversation with someone
Right, like, that's
who's
a
from
disservice.
a completely separate background than you, and you don't know how to connect with that person
Yes.
because you know nothing about their culture?
Yes. And this is where I like struggle to understand, people that come from very wealthy backgrounds or like parents have all the resources they could have to do that disservice to your child. And like maybe they don't know what they don't know, but like if you have, I just feel like the information is clearly accessible. Like
Right.
if you have 5 assistants, have one of them tell you how to be I just think like
Ask 'em.
do something.
Google.
Like literally spend your time. I don't care. But it's like that's where the hyper, doing everything for them, not, and then like making sure that their world is like, whatever it looks like, but all their
I don't
peers
know,
are
a
the same as
padded
them.
room? Like, come on,
Truly,
man.
it's like that's just not going to serve them. They have to get out of their comfort zone and, see the fear, keep moving, be uncomfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable for growth.
Do you feel like you would provide said feedback to parents if you saw that?
Bringing it back to this, yes, I think so. So navigating that parent relationship is like I'm there, and I'm going to discuss things obviously as needed with them.
Sure.
I think I will provide. I want to encourage that safe space with the
Kids.
kid, the adolescent.
Yeah.
But I do understand that parents like want to be. Their kid
Included.
is not 18, and
They want to feel like they're in the loop.
they're in the loop. They know
Yes.
what's happening, and that's where anything obviously big would be mentioned. But I think
course.
that's where I'm, kind of giving an overview after the session. This is what we discussed. This is kind of what I'm going to try and bring up and work towards next time.
Yeah.
Is like the overall.
And then maybe if the parent too is like, hey, these are some things that I've noticed, maybe
Yes.
at some point in your sessions, you guys can work through those or talk about those and then just kind of leave that with you,
Yes.
versus just like, I need a report, I need feedback, I need this, I need
Yes.
results, because it's like, this is a relationship. This is a lifelong journey, right, for
Yeah.
your kid to like discover themselves. But
And
it's
ideally, like we, I don't think it needs to be such like a rigid feedback loop,
Right.
but it's more so just ideally you notice that, maybe your child was dealing with this issue and it was a little bit hard and they were upset a lot, but then maybe they found some skills or they spoke to this person at school and that got
were able
better. Or
to
like
work through
whatever it may be, like the little things. I think sometimes having that person come in who just for some reason resonates better. Like I
Yes.
just feel like I've been good at resonating with kids.
Yeah.
And, in whatever level and space. But like, I am never judgmental. Like I truly think I've heard the craziest stuff. It never really phases me.
Yeah.
Who's to say? But I think that's where like I want to just be that person that's like, I see you. I see where you're at, what you're dealing with. Like let's kind of just talk through and figure out
course.
what comes next.
Validate, acknowledge, recognize, all of it.
Yes. And then the common thread is
Affirm.
like what, who are you? What's your character? What do you love? What do you hate? And how can you be the best version of you as you age and get older and take
Yeah.
up space in this world?
And how can I help you get there?
Yes, because at the end of the day, the people that know what they care about and love and are passionate about it, they show up better in relationships. They're nice to their Starbucks drive-through person. They're kind at the
Yes.
store, wherever.
Right.
They are good
I will say
people to interact
too,
with.
there have been times in my life where I didn't feel like I was on like the journey that I was meant to be on, and I was not that I wasn't a nice person. I'm a much nicer person now.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And that those are also like all gaps, like empathy
Yes.
and dealing with, listening to our gut and our intuition. Like it's just those are all things that you don't know.
I know.
And that's where I'm like, let's spend just a little bit of the day
Yeah.
that the kids are
Lean
at
in.
school on
Lean
our tax
into that.
dollars, like talking about it,
I know.
It's not to say it's going to fix everything. It provides more tools in their toolbox.
We'll end there.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for
I hope
having me.
everyone who listens to this gets some value from it and also feels validated, seen, and heard, because
Yes.
we're all parents and the shit sucks and it's hard. And it's extremely hard to manage everything, especially if you're, even if you're not a working parent. If you're a working parent, if you're a stay-at-home parent, you still have to keep your sanity at some point. But
Yes.
like with aging children and really teaching and implementing functional adults, like
Yes.
it seems impossible.
I know. But baby steps, you
It's
know?
an insurmountable task, but we'll get there. Because
Yes.
I think about myself too, and like when I was a kid, and like what I went through, and all the phases. Dear God, my parents, like I am so sorry, but like I'm here now.
Yeah.
You know, like I made it.
Exactly.
I go to bed at like 8:30 every night.
Yeah.
Like, we're fine.
It's fine.
She's a grown up. She made it.
8:30. That's
Achieved it.
crazy, but I love it.
I wake up at like 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're one of those.
Such a slay.
Yeah.
No. But yes, I think about that. And then I think about like what our kids need and what will the next generation of parents be like.
Yes.
And like how we are molding them.
Yes.
How we're traumatizing them and how we're molding them.
And it
'Cause
all
we're not
and
perfect.
we all show up with some levels of trauma and triggers and issues. And like that's
Yeah.
who we are.
But being able to talk about them
Yes.
is something I think that not only do parents possess these days, but also building children that have that built in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Contributing members of society.
Amazing.
Just one LifeTalk away.
One life
You
talk
like my line?
away.
You like my line?
That was like a light bulb went off in my head. Okay, so if people want to find you, how do they find you?
Okay, so my website is lifetalk.info.
Okay.
And then all of my social media handles are at LifeTalk Life Coaching.
Okay.
They're all the same.
Perfect. And then I will, of course, when this episode comes out, your website will be in the show notes.
Yes.
And I will also tag you on every platform, every social media when I do
Beautiful.
promotion for this episode.
Well, thank you so much. This
Thank
was
you.
so much fun.
Yeah, so fun. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, of course, send me an email at biggirlpantspod@gmail.com. And if you have any questions for Hannah, please send me a DM, reach out to me. I will direct you in the right place. If you didn't hear the website or whatever, check the show notes, whatever it is. Please let me know because I would love to help you in any way.
Yes, so
Yeah.
appreciated. And there's a contact form on my website too if you just have questions,
Perfect.
comments,
Excellent.
quotes.
Awesome.
Anything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.